Those two cases obviously are of significant public interest. I'm just telling you what we see in the file. I just want to be crystal clear on this. I am not asking anyone to believe me. I'm telling you what's there and what isn't.
Right.
There is nothing in the file at this point on the Epstein case, and there's going to be a disclosure on this coming shortly. We are working through there is video. That is something the public does not.
There's video of him killing himself.
No, not the actual act, but the entire MCC Bay. It was only one camera. There's video that when you look at the video, and we will release, that's what's taken a while on this. We are working on cleaning it up to make sure you have an enhanced, and we're going to give the original so you don't think there were any shenanigans. You're going to see there's no one there but him.
Right.
There's just nobody there. So I say to people all the time, if you have a tip, let us know. But there's no DNA, there's no audio, there's no fingerprints, there's no suspects, there's no accomplices, there's no tips, there is nothing. If you have it, I'm happy to see it. There's video clear as day. He's the only person in there and the only person coming out. You can.
Hey man, people been acting like the deep state is sweevil, like it's sweet evil, like they're sweevil. No, they are evil squared. They're evil to the 15th power. So the expectation that you're going to catch them on every little thing, I don't understand why we got it. But we got to get these people on what we can get them on. Yeah. But he said some very interesting things in this interview, and I want you to hear them all. Hit the like button. Hit the like button. Hit the like button, dog. Let's go.
Hold on one second. We're about to get to the bottom of this, ladies and gentlemen. This don't make no sense whatsoever. Welcome to the Dark Waters channel, where we explore mysteries, figure out the truth, dive into politics, and anything else you want to know about. That's what we're doing over here, baby. Let's go.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, the one and only James Williams, Dark Waters, and I'm back. And I'm here to talk to you about Dan Bongino. And I think it's important that after we saw that disastrous interview with Dan Bongino, and we saw the interview with Kash Patel, when they were asked about, did Epstein kill himself? And they said, yeah, Epstein killed himself. I said, man, I just think there's no evidence in that file about it. I want you to look at, and we're going to do a quick video. We're going to travel through what's being said by Bongino and by Kash Patel. And I want you to consider for a moment that these guys are telling you the truth, but you got to want to hear the truth. It's kind of like we impose on people what we want on them. We project on people, right? So the projection on Dan Bongino and Kash Patel is they're super smart, they're super capable, they're warriors, they can go in there and get the job done. And so our expectation is that they're going to go into this corrupt system with all these lying demons and devils and flip the system overnight. And the reality is that's an unrealistic expectation. And I think they learned the lesson from their last interview when they looked like they were like deer in the headlight, that they can't do that because people have these expectations. We're going to start with this video because this points out exactly what I was saying about what's going on. Then we're going to go a little bit deeper. Well, watch this. So this is him. Make sure I have it on to where it's not feeding back the audio. I apologize. I should have done this before, but there's quite a few things that went on this morning. Here we go.
Those two cases obviously are of significant public interest. I'm just telling you what we see in the file. I just want to be crystal clear on this. I am not asking anyone to believe me. All
right, now watch. Let's start here. In this conversation that he's having, he's talking about Epstein files. Notice he's not looking at the people, he's looking down. That body language is, how do I say this and get this point across to people? He's not looking at the individuals on the show. Here we go.
I'm telling you what's there and what isn't.
Right.
There is nothing in the file at this point on the Epstein case, and there's going to be a disclosure on this coming shortly. We are working through there is video. That is something the public does not.
There's video of him killing himself.
No, not the actual act, but the entire MCC Bay. It was only one camera. There's video that when you look at the video, and we will release, that's what's taken a while on this. We are working on cleaning it up to make sure you have an enhanced, and we're going to give the original so you don't think there were any shenanigans. You're going to see there's no one there but him.
Right.
There's just nobody there. So I say to people all the time, if you have a tip, let us know. But there's no DNA, there's no audio, there's no fingerprints, there's no suspects, there's no accomplices, there's no tips, there is nothing. If you have it, I'm happy to see it. There's video clear as day. He's the only person in there and the only person coming out. You can see it.
That's the point I was making. That, see, and let's be clear, we're in an age of AI where anything can be done. But this was the impression that I got when they asked him the question about it. It was like, well, yeah, Epstein, he killed himself. It's not that he even believes that he killed himself. You can't tell me that Dan Bongino believes that man killed himself. I don't believe he believes that. But once he got on the inside and he got to the evidence, he cannot lie about the evidence. He can only say, hey, Epstein killed himself from all the evidence we have. And that's all the evidence they have. Does that mean that somebody didn't turn off a camera or they didn't manipulate something? No, it doesn't mean that didn't happen. It just means that based on what he has in the file, Epstein killed himself. And this is the craziest thing to me about the Epstein whole scenario. We talk about how magically crazy and supernaturally evil the deep state is. And then people are surprised when the evidence of the supernatural evil, the deep state, manifests itself in them deleting and removing evidence. When a good guy gets there, we're surprised. Well, yeah, you lying. You should have some evidence. No. If the opponent was that smart in the first place, and everybody was looking at the scenario and the issue, everybody was talking about Epstein, what you think the first thing they did was cover it up? I mean, Epstein is the biggest, most controversial name in criminal history. I mean, he's the key component to one of the largest conspiracies that morphs and consumes the whole earth. What would make people think for a moment that those people who went after him didn't take care of their business? But see, we have to come to the realization that you fight the battles you can win. And you win the battles that you can. The Epstein battle now about this Epstein, did he kill himself? He didn't kill himself. That need to go away. It's a waste of time. And this is essentially what he's telling you. Now let's go back to the actual longer portion of the interview. So where we can hear everything.
What did you think the job was going to be like? What is it like? Civics. What did you think the job was going to be like? What is it like?
The biggest lifestyle change for me has been family-wise. I mean, we already went through this with my time in the Secret Service. But, when the president called and asked if I would take the job, you can't tell your audience for years, go out and do stuff, talk is cheap. And then when the opportunity comes to do stuff, I didn't mean me, I meant you. It's kind of you're a fraud. I mean, you don't sound like a fraud. You are one. So it was a lot. It's been tough on the family. People ask me all the time, do you like it? I say, no, I don't. But the president asked me to do this to like it. Nobody likes going into an organization like that and having to change things and make big, bold changes. But, I was at one of our facilities yesterday down in Winchester, and a woman who worked there, very nice, said, I used to watch your show. I miss you. I said, I miss me too. Part of you, part of you dies a little bit when you see all this stuff from behind the scenes.
You're doing this for country, so we appreciate that and we thank you. And we're excited to find out, to roll back the curtain and find out what's deep in the FBI. We have so many questions about those 3 cases we just mentioned. Y'all are doing a deep dive into this. What's the latest on those investigations? So
the moment Kash and I swore in, we realized that the first thing we had to do is rebuild public trust. This is your FBI. It's not mine. I tell the employees every day, you don't own it, you don't own it, I don't own it. It's like being the center fielder for the Yankees. That'll live with you forever, but you don't own the Yankees. It's a proud franchise. The place has taken a reputational hit. There is zero question about it. There were a lot of bad actors. One of them still out there causing us all kinds of trouble. So we had to fix it and rebuild public trust. One of the ways to do it is these cases of significant public interest that matter. We had 2 pipe bombs planted on January 6th. I mean, we were told by partisan actors out there. This was the insurrection. The world was going to fall apart, and no one seemed to show any interest in this case. The second we got in, I put a team on it, and I said, I want answers on this. And I'm pretty confident that we're closing in on some suspects. The reason, by the way, I use social media with these cases, I'm trying to communicate on social media, is nothing's by accident, guys. I do nothing by accident. Every time I put a tweet out on it, we get tips. We got a fascinating tip on one of these cases, one of the three. I don't want to say which one, but I'm pretty confident that we're going to close out one of them, hopefully shortly. And in the cocaine in the White House, you know, I saw someone on social media, which is fine. Everybody's entitled to an opinion. We work for you, but said, I don't care about the case. Yeah, I do. I was a Secret Service agent. A potentially hazardous material made its way into the White House. Nobody seems to know how it got there, and nobody seemed to investigate it fully. Like, you know, what planet do we live on where that's not of public interest? So
I'm going to say this about Dan Bongino about watching his body language. And I pause it right here for a reason. If you look at him as he's talking, you notice this scowl on his face. You notice his veins in the side of his head popping out. Dan Bongino is actually disgusted with the things that he's seen. Because you got to realize there are certain things he can say and he cannot say. But look at his face. That's a man who's utterly disgusted by what he's seen. He even articulates it by saying, yeah, I miss me too. And he's articulating to everybody that this job is not an easy job to do, which, again, I believe that it's not going to be easy for him at all, or for Kash Patel at all, because there's been no management of expectations of people. And until people see somebody get arrested, I mean somebody of prominence get arrested, oh yeah, their reputation is going to take a hit. You know what I'm saying? So the question is, did the deep state get him? I don't think the deep state got him. I think the deep state is efficient. They was efficient enough to take a shot at Donald Trump and get away with it and have a patsy, and we ain't heard nothing else about it. We ain't heard about the other shooter. Clearly that little crazy dude wasn't a shooter. They was efficient enough to cover up the shooting at the Trump assassination and the MSB assassination in Las Vegas to make everybody think that some random dude shot up a country music concert. So the reality of the enemy that we face is they are not an incompetent opponent. They're not incompetent. But people act like they're incompetent. I mean, think about it. When you start talking about the Clinton body count, that's blatant in your face. And people say it's corruption and it's this and it's that. But there's a certain level of competency they have at being evil. They're good at being evil. It's kind of sweevil. It's not sweevil. It's not sweet evil. It's not sweevil. It's greevil. Good evil. It's good evil. They're good at being evil, man.
Faced with this interesting thing, I've known you since I was a kid. Damn. And I know your instinct is to swing back. But you promised that you weren't going to do that. You promised that you were going to get rid of the partisanship and you were going to go back to being a law enforcement officer. Yeah. You went in there and there were some cases that were closed or still open that a lot of the public felt a little sketchy about. The first assassination attempt against President Donald Trump. It's like, is he really the guy? What happened with Epstein? Can you say with confidence, as a lot of people, you used to be their guy when it comes to podcasts, appearing on Fox News, but now as a law enforcement officer, can you say we have all the information?
Well, I'm never going to say we have all of it. And people ask me all the time, are these cases closed? And whether they're closed administratively is irrelevant. If new tips come in, we're absolutely going to follow them. And that's why I always put out, if you have additional information, please let us know. Those two cases obviously are of significant public interest. I'm just telling you what we see in the file. I just want to be crystal clear on this. I am not asking anyone to believe me. I'm telling you what's there and what isn't.
Right.
There is nothing in the file at this point on the Epstein case, and there's going to be a disclosure on this coming shortly. We are working through there is video. That is something the public does not.
There's video of him killing himself.
No, not the actual act, but the entire MCC Bay. It was only one camera. There were there's video that when you look at the video, and we will release, that's what's taken a while on this. We are working on cleaning it up to make sure you have an enhanced, and we're going to give the original so you don't think there were any shenanigans. You're going to see there's no one there but him.
Right.
There's just nobody there. So I say to people all the time, if you have a tip, let us know. But there's no DNA, there's no audio, there's no fingerprints, there's no suspects, there's no accomplices, there's no tips, there is nothing.
Did y'all hear that? Let's rewind this for a second. Listen carefully to what he says. This is why listening is important.
It's there and what isn't.
Right.
There is nothing in the file at this point on the Epstein case, and there's going to be a disclosure on this coming shortly. We are working through there is video. That is something the public does not.
Video of him killing himself.
No, not the actual act, but the entire.
That's That's what I wanted you to hear. There's video, but there's no video of the actual act, right?
File at this point on the Epstein case, and there's going to be a disclosure on this coming shortly. We are working through there is video. That is something the public does not.
There's video of him killing himself.
No, not the actual act, but the entire MCC bay. It was only one camera. There's video that.
There were other what?
When you look at the video, and we will release, that's what's taken a while on this. We are working on cleaning it up to make sure you have an enhanced, and we're going to give the original so you don't think there were any shenanigans. You're going to see there's no one there but him.
Right.
There's just nobody there. So I say to people all the time, if you have a tip, let us know. But there's no DNA, there's no audio, there's no fingerprints, there's no suspects, there's no accomplices, there's no tips, there is nothing. If you have it, I'm happy to see it. There's video clear as day. He's the only person in there and the only person coming out. You can see it.
So there's three cases that you're looking at, the D.C. pipe bombings, the Supreme Court leak on the Dobbs decision, and the cocaine in the White House. You say one of them, within a day or two, we're going to have a major break?
Well, we got a good tip this morning. We're going to run it out. We're not going to be able to make that public, obviously, right away, because we have to make sure. And, we have to go all the proper steps. What I don't want to do ever, and I've said this before, it's not an excuse. I can't say to the public enough. I put it in my tweets all the time. I'm not asking you to trust me. Nothing drives me crazy when people go, they're asking us to trust a plan. I am absolutely not. Read my tweets. I don't want you to trust me. I don't. I'd be nice.
You'll have evidence.
All I care about is results.
So let's talk about what the president wants. He clearly wants a result. When he told Brett Baer on the assassination attempt, he's got questions on the first one. Watch.
There's a lot of frustration that we still don't know about that shooter in Butler. And we don't know about his communications. Will we get transparency?
I thought it was strange. The one guy had 18 cell phones. Okay. I have a lot of cell phones, but I have like 2. I call that a lot. And I think I probably make more calls than him. They live outside of Butler in a little place. Where did they get this lawyer that would represent IBM and would represent ExxonMobil?
But you're the president. Can't you find out?
No, Secret Service. They tell me it's fine. But it's a little hard to believe, to be honest with you, okay? It's a little bit hard to believe as I get that throbbing feeling.
So, Dan, the question is that a lot of people have wondered is, did this kid have help? He could not have pulled it off by himself. Was there a foreign actor? Did someone provide him with the weapons? Was there chatter online?
Well, let's be clear here. There are two separate parallel tracks here. Foreign actors targeting people in the United States, and it's not just the president, it's others. That is a very real track. The question is, do they intersect? The case file now, which, by the way, we are going to make another public release on this coming up. We're just kind of finishing up the product now to make sure it's tight and put together. You're going to see a lot of what you've heard about online does not exist in the case file. I'm not telling you information may not surface later. We do the PDB, the President's Daily Brief. We get the same brief, me and Kash, every morning. We have warned people out, telling them if there's something there we want to find. They have shaken every tree on this.
You mean you talked to his classmates, you talked to his family, you've talked to everyone, because they burned the body, cremated, and they cleaned the whole house out.
Yeah, and here's the thing. There are, like with the Epstein case, for example, we have a number of significantly odd abnormalities that would make a normal person go, huh? What? Mm-hmm. if Lawrence is near his bank at 4 o'clock and the bank gets robbed, but we know Lawrence reported to work afterwards and has an alibi, the fact that the bank was robbed, it's a fact that Lawrence was there, but it's not evidence that Lawrence committed the crime. Mm-hmm. Things, really, really bad things happened in this case. But when you see the report we're going to release, you'll see that not everything you've been told is true. But
listen, here's the truth that Dan Bongino is telling us right now. They know the truth that he couldn't have pulled it off by themselves, but they can't prove it. And bro, when it comes to having judicial justice in the justice system, you have to have proof and you have to have evidence. It's about what you can prove. He's just admitting we can't prove that there were multiple shooters. We can't prove that there was somebody else who took a shot at the president. We can't prove it. It's not that we don't believe it. It's that we cannot prove it. It goes back to what I was saying previously, which is people need to manage their expectations and understand that there's a reason why the opponent is so dangerous. They ain't idiots. And this is what they're running into, that wall of, yeah, we know them bastards did it, but we can't prove it. That's the problem when you go this route. When you go this route, and instead of the head busting, wig splitting route, you got to prove it. Instead of just going out, we some head busters, we'll knock your behind out, we some head busters. No, you won't go the legal, justifiable route. And so guess what? You ain't gonna prove it. No. It's kind of like the people who hung themselves with barbed wire and shot themselves in the back of the head 2 times and then stuffed themselves in a duffel bag. Ain't no evidence that they didn't do it. Ain't no DNA on the site. Ain't nothing there. So the only logical conclusion you can come to is that they hung themselves from barbed wire, shot themselves in the back of the head, then stuffed themselves into a duffel bag. There's a reason why they do it this way, to demoralize people, to demoralize the movement. This is why, in my opinion, there has to be expectations that are managed. And what Dan Bongino and Kash Patel should be doing is taking down the people who they can take down now. Like, okay, we working on the president assassination, cool. The people want blood. They want somebody to get arrested. So we're gonna have to give these people somebody. It could be AOC, it don't matter who it is. Now, the hard reality of this, and I think I should prepare you guys for it. The harsh reality is, I don't think you ever gonna get the answer to a lot of these things. I don't think so. I don't think we'll ever get the answer to some of these questions, because you're dealing with an opponent that has been active for a very long time and they know exactly what they're doing. But then the question is, if I can't get the answers there, if I can't get the result I want there, where do I get the result that I want? That's the real question. So as everybody talks about, shares their frustration and probably speculates if Dan Bongino is a bad guy, which I really don't believe he is, and I don't believe Kash Patel is a bad guy. Just understand, that's what's going on. That's what's going on. Now, you may say, well, and I'll say this. If there's somebody who got the evidence, I believe if you give it to Dan Bongino, he crazy enough to go through with it. I think Kash Patel, if you could Kash Patel eyes to tell he crazy. Something wrong with that boy. Something's clearly wrong with Kash. I'm done looking at this. I'm sorry I get ahead of myself sometimes, but you can, when you listen to what people say, you can tell what's going on. I'll be back in another video.